Hello, welcome. We're gonna do a wall yoga sequence, just a shorty. A complement to the chair yoga. Again, for people who can't get down and up off the floor, there's so many different options that we can use. Chairs, walls, all the goodies. We can even do yoga in bed. So we're gonna just start by standing in mountain pose. So wherever you are, just come to standing with your feet parallel, hip distance apart. Have your second toes pointing straight forward. And the outer edges of your feet almost as wide as your hips. And then just turning the palms forward. Press down through the soles of the feet and lift up through the crown of the head. So just finding neutral spine here. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. I'll just take a couple of deep breaths in and out here. So inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Maybe bringing a little smile to the corners of the mouth. Take one more deep breath here. Beautiful. All right, so the first thing we're going to do doesn't involve the wall at all. What we're going to do is we're going to bend our toes. You can touch the wall for balance if you want to, but we're going to bend the toes back and stretch the top of the foot. So you can just put that foot beside and then curl the toes under and feel the little stretch in the top of the foot in the metatarsals, and just take a couple of breaths there. Imagine that you're breathing right into the top of your foot. Everything else is relaxed and soft. Good, and then when you release and bring the right foot down and change sides, or if you did the left foot, switch to the right, vice versa. And we're just curling the toes under. This is so great because you can do this foot stretch anywhere. Just stretching the top of the foot. You can do it standing in the grocery store lineup, or when you're washing dishes in the kitchen, or just standing anywhere in your house. If you have tight feet, this can be sometimes helpful just to create more mobility in the feet. And the feet don't often get a lot of love and attention. I always advocate giving them more. Let's just take a couple breaths here. And breathing into the front of that foot. Good, and then gently release. And we're going to stretch the foot the other way and do a dorsiflexion. So dorsiflexion is when you pull the toes up towards the knee, not just the big toe side of the foot, but also the pinky edge of the foot too, right? Sometimes we'll pull the big toe up, but forget about the pinky side. I want you to spread the toes and pull both sides of the foot up. And then we're going to put that foot on the wall, the toes on the wall, with the heel on the ground, and then start to move your upper body towards the wall. So you feel a little stretch, maybe in the foot or maybe in the calf of that foot, right? So we're just leaning in. As you bring your hips closer to the wall, feeling a little bit of a stretch, possibly in the calf if your calves are tight, or in the foot. And just take a breath or two here. Breath is so key. And really breathe into the areas that you're stretching with intention. Beautiful. Nicely done. We'll gently release. Take the foot away and we'll change sides. So bringing the other foot up, toes on the wall, getting the heel as close to the wall as you can, and then just moving your hips, your torso closer to the wall, and breathing into whatever opening you're creating through that little bit of a stretch here. This is where you get to notice where all the dusty bits are in your house that you can get to later when you're done your practice. Let's take one more breath here. So you want to give each stretch a little bit of time to hang out in the stretch. So you have an opportunity to release it, yeah? Good, and then we're going to come to standing with our back against the wall. Your hips, the back of your buttocks touching the wall, the backs of your shoulders touching the wall. And the heels might be just a little bit away from the wall. So what I want you to find is neutral spine as if you're standing away, like free, away from the wall in mountain. But I want you to back your whole body up until you feel the back of your hips and the back of your shoulders touching the wall. The heels will be a little bit away. Then I invite you to draw your belly in a little towards your spine. We're going to go ahead and reach the arms up. Now the option, if your arms don't reach up for this, is to keep the hands beside the body. Our goal is to keep the shoulders connected to the wall behind us, so not letting one shoulder lift off the wall. If you're modifying with hands beside the body, you'll exhale as you bring the left hand down, bring your right hand to your ribs. And your goal is to try to keep both shoulders connected to the wall. And then you'll inhale back to center and exhale, slide to the right. So a little side bend. Inhale back to center. So you can keep going with that modified version if you want to, with the arms beside the body, or reaching arms up, squeeze the belly in, keeping mindful of shoulders staying connected to the wall. You'll inhale and lean to one side, lengthening the side body. Inhale back to center. Sorry, exhale to the side, my bad. Inhale back to center. We'll just do that a couple times on each side. Being mindful of keeping your shoulders connected to the wall. If there's a tendency for the shoulder to roll away from the wall, just go as far as you can while keeping the integrity, while keeping the shoulders both pressed against the wall. It might mean that you don't go as far to the side as you would normally if you were leaning forward, but I want you to really keep that body in one plane. Good. We'll do one more to the right. And then back to center. Good. And then we'll exhale, release the hands down. I love those side bends. They really wake up the side body and make you feel taller. So just stand tall in mountain. Take a deep breath in and exhale it out. Okay, great. So then what we're going to do is we're going to come into a supported chair. Your feet are already hip distance apart, but what I'm going to get you to do is walk your feet forward. Make sure that your feet are sticky on your floor surface, right? So if your feet are sliding for whatever reason, find purchase either by putting a mat or something sticky under your feet. Definitely take your socks off here. And we're going to come into a supported chair. So your feet are parallel, hip distance apart, second toes pointing forward. And the important thing here is, if you walk your feet a little ways away from the wall and you're leaning with your back and your hips against the wall, as you start to bend your knees, you want to keep them the same width apart as your ankles. As soon as your knees are over your ankles, that's as far as you want to go. Now, if you feel like that's not enough of a challenge and you want to sit down deeper, what you're going to need to do is walk your feet further away from the wall. Because if I sit down deeper without walking my feet further away from the wall, what ends up happening is my knees are further forward than my ankles, and that's really hard on knees, right? So knees want to be stacked over ankles. So if I want to go deeper, I'll wiggle my toes a little bit away. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You can see why it's important to have sticky feet here. And then I can sit a little deeper. And you can choose how deep you want to be here. If you want to go deeper, wiggle your toes forward again. Maybe you're coming all the way down to thighs parallel to the floor. But making sure for knee safety that your knees aren't further forward than your ankles. Now, this is a great leg strengthener, thigh burner here. You want to draw your belly in and press your back against the wall. You don't have to be as deep as I am here. You can also press your shoulders back. You don't need to be sitting way down here. Your pose could be, this could be your chair. But everybody is doing two things, making sure the knees are not further forward than the ankles. And the second thing is breathing. And the third thing, if you want to be really advanced, is smiling and giggling. Okay, so we're going to draw the belly in, press the small of the back into the wall, and breathe here. We're just going to breathe and embrace the burn. It's a great way for building strength in the legs. You never want to feel any pain in your knees. If you are, you're going to come out and not go so deep. So I want you to make sure you're listening to your body. Okay, we'll stay for 3 more breaths. If you went really deep with me on this first one, then you're probably really crying for mercy now. All right, last breath. You got this. Good. And then go ahead and slide the back up. You can walk your feet closer to the wall. Come all the way up to standing. Find your mountain. Just stand a little ways off the wall and just take a breath and feel that energy, that beautiful energy in the legs, the prana, right? The life force. take a cleansing breath. Inhale nose, exhale mouth. Letting the shoulders melt. Good. Now we're going to take a version of a forward bend here, which is called a wall hang. So for this one, we're going to take the feet a little wider apart than hip distance and turn the toes out. This is another one where it's really important for you to make sure that your knees are not collapsing in and they're not going further forward than your ankles. So one of the most common mistakes I see with this is people don't move their feet far enough away from the wall. For example, people will sometimes have their feet too close to the wall, and then as we start to fold forward with our knees bent, we actually have nowhere to go because we fall off of the wall. So you really want to get a good lean against the wall, right? You want to have that really solid, toes pointing out, making sure the knees are a little bit bent, but they're on the safe side of the ankles. That means they're on this side, not that side. Okay. So if you have low back issues, this might be your pose. You might just stay here, or you might rest your elbows on your thighs and keep a flat back if you have low back issues. If your low back is okay, one of the things you can do, I'm just going to shift over so I'm not on this ridge right here, is stay loose through the shoulders. Make sure your feet are stuck and they're not going to slip on you. Make sure your knees are in a good position. Let your arms be floppy, and then start to curl your head off the wall. Draw your belly in a little and start to slowly ragdoll forward. Now, as you start to go limp and fold forward, your hips might slide a little bit up the wall as your torso hangs down. Your backs of your hands might rest on the floor, sort of like gorilla arms. You're going to let the head and neck hang loose. And we're just hanging here, yeah? Getting some fresh oxygen to the brain. You can stay longer or shorter. Maybe if it's the first time you've done this, you might want to do a short hold. And if you have low blood pressure, one of the things that you may want to do is lift your head first. Bring your elbows to your knees. Lift your head first and then walk yourself up. If you have no back issues, no low blood pressure, pull your belly in and slowly roll up as slow as you can with a strong belly. Knees stay a little soft. Eventually the shoulders meet back to the wall. You can roll the shoulders back, uncurl the head, and press the head to the wall as well. Take a nice deep breath. Exhale it out. Good. And come to standing. Thank you, wall. One of the things that wall hang is good for if you're sitting at the desk and you just need a stretch for your back, a little brain refresher, doing that wall hang can sort of have this nice rejuvenating effect. It's very therapeutic. All right, so the last one, I think is the last one, yeah, is a twist at the wall that actually stretches the pectoral and the shoulder, which is great for preventing things like rotator cuff injuries and such. So how this works is we're going to stand facing the wall with one arm out to the side at about shoulder height. So not high, not low. Try it at shoulder height. And then start to slowly turn your body away from the wall. Now it's important here that this right shoulder stays down. You can, or the shoulder stays down. You can bend your elbow a little bit if you want to, but avoid having it scrunch up here. You really want to drop it down the back, even if it means that you're not going as far into the stretch. And what you want to feel is at the front of the pectoral, between the shoulder and the chest, a little stretch there that you can breathe into. This is a really basic one. Nice long breath. Keeping the shoulders relaxed. Belly slightly engaged as you grow tall through the crown. And then we're just breathing here. Smiling a little. This one can also be done at a door frame. It's another nice way to do it. Sometimes you'll see people do it with a cactus arm. That's a possibility too that you can try. Just making sure that it feels okay in that shoulder. And this is one of those where less is more, right? So you don't want to push or force or anything like that. And then we're slowly going to come back to the wall and change sides. And then you can bring the other arm out. Same thing. Relax both shoulders and just start to turn away from the wall. And you can see I'm a little bit a ways away from the wall. I'm not right up beside it. I'm giving myself a little bit of space there. This shoulder is a little tighter for me, so I'm just going to be very gentle and sweet. I'm going to use my breath to inhale and exhale into that left pectoral. Good. Breathe and smile. Really what you're looking for here is just to find a minimum edge. This is the first place where you start to feel the stretch. And then you pause there and use your breath. Full inhales, full exhales. So if we spend a little time there in a semi-comfortable position where there's a bit of challenge, but it's not over the top, what will happen is the body will slowly start to release and invite you to go a tiny bit deeper, and then you have a new edge that you can breathe into. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to look for and wait for those little invitations for from the body to go deeper in kind of an easeful way, rather than powering through and pushing ourselves. So this is the magic of finding our edge. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Inhale and really focus on your exhale, because that's where the body does its letting go. Beautiful. Good, and then we'll gently release, come back to facing the wall. Good, and then we'll come back to standing in mountain. Palms facing forward, nice and tall through the crown. Take a cleansing breath. Beautiful. So that's it for our little mini wall practice. If you'd like to take a short Shavasana in a chair, just sitting in the chair, taking some deep breaths, letting the breath slow down. And thanks for joining me. Namaste. Have a beautiful day.